Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Another podcast, Inside Polling. Here we go. Around 12, 13 days left to go. The numbers are shifting again. I've got some interesting data for you. I have an incredibly hot Senate seat to bring you on a poll. I also have some good news for Harris, if that's what you're looking for. I know it's been Trump, 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 Trump. I think for everybody for the last 10, 14 days. And I think some of the Democrats have been suffering through that and are obviously looking for some good news. And I think I've got some interesting good news for you. On the Trump campaign, the Trump side, I've got some good news for you too. We talked about it yesterday where we thought that Harris needed to stop the momentum, right? Like Trump stopped the momentum for Harris after post-debate. It's up to now Harris to stop the momentum. I think a lot of people have said, as Harris turned to kind of attacking Trump, does that get you anywhere ever? Think about the amount of candidates and primary candidates that Trump has rolled when all you do is bring up the old stuff. I think the best thing for Harris to do is to talk about what she could do differently, maybe a different temperament, and talk about her good points instead of just attacking Trump. And I think as the pressure kind of fell on the Democrats a little bit, they started feeling the polls tighten. They go anti-Trump, anti-Trump, anti-Trump. We got to tell people about Trump. That's all out there. And look what we talked about it yesterday, the noise. What happened this morning? Trump talking about Hitler, this one talking about Trump. It's the same old thing, right? What's tomorrow's story going to be? We already know. Let's predict it. We wake up tomorrow morning. Let's see. Somebody said something about Trump. It doesn't move the needle. That's an old needle. Okay. So most importantly is for Harris campaign, stop the momentum. I think I have some interesting numbers for you. Shift to what you do better than Trump. She showed it in the debate, love her or not, voting for her or not. She showed that she knows her stuff when she either memorizes it or could put it together. Did a good job with that. Certainly has a different temperament than Trump. That could be a positive for certain demographics. Could certainly bring a little bit more of shift, obviously middle right or middle left, excuse me. She has her weak spots too, right? Too far left, this or that. But if you're Harris, this is a concentration on our audience. Our audience are the independents. Reach out to the independents. So Trump is staying on his message and his train, and Harris is bouncing a little bit. Got to get back on the independent train. Independent train is where to be. It's so funny. Yesterday, it brought it up to you as a fact. A third of this country is independent or unaffiliated, whichever you want to call it. What does that mean? It's a lot. It means a lot. Which candidate is going to touch the independent and the unaffiliated are going to be the deciding factor in this election, no doubt about it. Also want to thank everybody for YouTube. We broke now 3,000 views on YouTube. Don't know how that's possible. Twitter, we keep on pounding our huge numbers over there. Tens of thousands of people in Twitter listening to the audio. I appreciate you. But really, I want to thank you guys on YouTube. Again, a surprise, but let's keep it rolling. If you can like it, if you can subscribe. I know it's a pain. I talk about it every day. Just hit subscribe. It's helpful. Let's get our numbers up, and maybe we can continue this on. More importantly, instead of listening to me banter, let's get to the polls. Let's get to the facts, and let's get to some of the information that I have for you. All right, so let's go to. Guys, do I have some news for you? Do I have some news from you? Let's start right. Should we even start with Quinnipiac? They're the first on my list here on the poll numbers. Should we save them to the end so I can bash them? All right, let's go at Quinnipiac. Okay. By the way, if you're a new listener, you're not going to know what the hell I'm talking about. For 4 years now, I've been bashing Quinnipiac because they are all over the place. Always thought of as a grade A, Quinnipiac, not grade A. Maybe the worst, if not the worst. I would prefer Rasmussen that I know, is going to be so leaning right. At least I can drop them back a few points. I kind of know where they are. Quinnipiac is all over the place. Who is running the show? What's it, Tim Malloy? Oh, God, help me. Here we go. Here's another example. And anybody who thinks I'm making this up, I keep on showing you. These are just facts, what they're doing. Wisconsin. Last time, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, they polled Wisconsin and Michigan. I'll just give you the poll numbers. Let's start with Wisconsin. Trump +2. Now a tie. Okay. 2 weeks. Sure. Is there a shift in Wisconsin? That Trump +2 number made no sense to me in Wisconsin because Wisconsin has been a tough state for Trump, the Trump campaign to get. We've talked about that almost every show. So I'm not surprised about this coming back to tie. I wouldn't be surprised even with a Harris +1 here. And by the way, Trump has not been in Wisconsin since October 3rd. What is that? 3 weeks almost? What does that tell you? As Harris has not been in Arizona, Nevada, leaving that out to hang, as I killed her yesterday for leaving that out to hang and just giving up 2 states, possibly giving up 2 states. Trump also ignoring Wisconsin because, as I brought up on my first show, as we made our comeback show, that is the hardest state for him to win. And by the way, if he wins Wisconsin, this whole thing is over. Michigan will fold, Pennsylvania will fold, and it'll follow that way. Okay, so going back to Quinnipiac, Trump +2, going to a tie. Okay, not a bad poll. Can't kill him on that. Michigan was Trump +4 2 weeks ago. Now Harris +4. In 2 weeks. Every single other poll is showing tight races, right? We're down to 0, 1 either way. Hey, if Harris has a 2-point lead, a 1.5, Trump has a 0.5 lead in Michigan, fine. Trump 2 to Harris 4? Guys, you just wouldn't even believe this. How do you move 8 points in 2 weeks? So I dug into it a little bit. They polled 5% less Republicans on this poll and 1% more Democrats. So we got about a 6% difference. You would think, as Quinnipiac goes poll to poll, and it's only been 2 weeks, they would try to get it on the exact same amount of Republicans and Democrats as you did 2 weeks ago, so you can at least show some steadiness and show some consistency. Not the case. We'll move on. We'll move on to other polls, but 8-point swing in 2 weeks. This is the same polling group that had Hillary and Biden up by 6, 7, 8 points in Florida with a day to go. I mean, come on. You can't. It's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. All right, let's get going. Florida. The Hill and Emerson had Trump +5 before. Now has Trump +8. I think Florida will go 7, 8 points for Trump. Texas had Trump +5 before. Now has Trump +7. That is also the Hill. And then the Hill is doing Maryland. I don't even know why. I mean, Harris +30. I mean, why are you even polling Maryland? Why are you even polling Maryland, the Hill? Now, that is all I have for the states. Okay, so we had a good movement in Wisconsin for Harris by 2 points. A 8-point swing for Harris in Michigan. A 3-point advantage to Florida, which doesn't matter. That's going Republican anyway. And a 2-point gain in Texas for Trump. That doesn't matter. So the battlegrounds only matter. This is a great day for Harris. Because the two polls that Trump went up in, it does not matter. But it's Quinnipiac. I'd like to see more. Let's go to the national poll. Forbes Harris. This is the first time that a old school legit polling company has Trump in the lead nationally. Okay. Forbes Harris had Harris +4, now has Trump +2. 6 points. That's a stretch. I don't like to see that. Forbes Harris X, though, it's a 6-point game for Trump. On a national side, now is Trump up by 2. Rasmussen, we know where this is going to be already. Was a Trump +2, now is a Trump +3. TIPP has a sliding scale. I think I actually have that for you. I'm going to share my screen here, actually, guys. Sorry about this. I'll share my screen and get you the TIPP. All right, let's see if we can get this up here. Well, that didn't work, did it? Let's see here. That did not work. What do we got? Add away? Oh, here we go. Sorry, guys. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger for you. I can't. Okay. So, as you can see on this graph, TIPP is doing a daily poll. It's just a running poll. Okay. It's a running poll that runs over about a week's time. Harris was in the lead October 14th, 49-46. It's swapped on October 19th. It's about a tie. On October 20th, Trump took the lead, 49-47. It is now reversed to Harris, 49-47 over the past 3 days. Is this a trend? Is this another trend showing Harris solidifying and now taking a 2-point national lead? The 2-point national lead is not surprising. That's not surprising, but the swing, the daily swing, we'll keep watching that TIPP poll. You know what? There's one more thing I wanted to show you on that, which is really kind of fascinating. This will give you an idea. Let me just go to TIPP again. Let me just swing down here for a second. This is the poll from TIPP. Let's see if I've got the data here. I'm just going to show you. This is so small for you guys to see. And I can't make it bigger as I'm sharing. I apologize for that. So it's going to show you that TIPP was the most accurate. The Hill, the next, Rasmussen showing the only right Republican bias, but we know now that there are many polls that do that now. But I want to show you the bottom one. The bottom you may not be able to see on the screen. You know who the bottom is? The most inaccurate poll in 2020. Take a guess, guys. Quinnipiac. Okay, so I'm not the only one that just spotted that. They just got called out on that big time. So okay, so let's that's the polls. We went through the national. I've got actually one more national. Economist YouGov had Harris +4, is now Harris +3. So nationally, a gain by Trump, a gain by Trump, a gain by Harris, and a gain by Trump. I have some Senate races, and I've got a shocker. And maybe this is the reason why Harris is going to Texas. She knew this obviously yesterday, a lot sooner than we would on these polls. Let's start in Texas. The Hill, Emerson, had Cruz +4, now has Cruz +1. Okay, it's one poll. But this is a shocker. You're in the Cruz campaign, you don't want to see this. No one likes Cruz. All right, Republicans, Democrats, even the Republicans in Texas don't like Cruz. Who likes Cruz? But he's always been around that four-point lead, staying solidified there. And let's see do I even have a Texas? Texas, Trump up by 7. Same poll. Trump up by 7 and gained from 5 against Harris. Cruz with those same polling people on an upscale for Trump dropped 4-1. A 3-point drop for Cruz using the same polling data, same polling people as the poll that Trump went up on. Same polling company. Look out, Cruz. Look out. Scott was up by 1, is now 4. Wisconsin, God help us, it's a Quinnipiac poll. Wisconsin, Baldwin was 4, now has Baldwin +1. That's the Democrat running in Wisconsin. It's a Democrat seat. Is only up by 1. Okay? So, interesting to watch there as that Wisconsin Senate seat tightens. I have Michigan, Quinnipiac again. Now, classic Quinnipiac. 2 weeks ago, October 3rd poll, and it was when it started. It ended on October 7th. Okay, 2 weeks ago, it ended on the 7th, 3rd to the 7th. They had Slocum and Rogers a tie. Remember, Democrat Senate here. Democrats trying to hold the Senate. Slocum is the Democrat candidate. They had it as a tie. Let me back up. On September 12th through 16th poll, a month ago from now, but 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the last poll, there's been 3 polls. They had Slocum up by 5 mid-September. In the first week in October, they had it a tie, which is a 5-point gain for the Republican. Now, what do? 2 weeks later, Slocum +8, the Democrat. So we went from a Slocum 5 to a tie to a Slocum +8 in a matter of a month. 3 polls all over the place. Those are the polling numbers. Let's go over 2 other polls that came out on that congressional question that I like. And just to remind those, some of you that who have not listened before, this congressional question is not about a candidate. It is about a candidate, but it's about, are they Republican or Democrat? If you're congressional, if you had to vote and it was Republican or Democrat in your congressional seat, which basically means are you going to vote for a Republican or Democrat? It's nice to see the swings. So the momentum for Trump or the momentum for Harris or the ups and downs should follow the Republican and Democrat. But this is just another tab that we can click on to see if it's accurate. And it has been accurate. It has started off, very large for Republicans in the summer. Harris came out, it dropped. The Dems shot up on this poll. And now it's shifted back the other way. So I've got 2 polls for you. Forbes had it last month, Democrats +2, now have Republicans up 1. So there we go. Right? So the polls are working. Not just the right-leaning ones. The polls are working. As we watched Trump take some momentum over the past 3 weeks to a month, we've also seen the shift of this congressional question. Economist YouGov had Dem +1 last month, is now a tie. Another movement to the Republican side by 1 point. So people starting to shift slightly from now Republicans in the summer, Democrats in the late summer, early fall, back to slightly Republicans or about even. That's how tight this is. So people are not just the candidate is up by 1 either way, right? One of them's up by 1 either way. But also Republican Democrat is up by 1 or tied. Wow, it's so consistent now. It's becoming consistent. I did want to show you. Let's see if I'm just going to share my screen here on this map. This map is and let me lower it down just a little bit here. This is battleground states only. So don't worry about the reds, don't worry about the lines and things like that. The striped lines are the states that Biden, this is 2020, by the way, that Biden won back. Okay. So you see Wisconsin, you see Michigan, you see Pennsylvania, you see Georgia, you see Arizona. There's a blowout. 5 states. 5 states Biden won. I wanted to get to the numbers, which are interesting. The national numbers were 81 million for Biden, 74 for Trump. What's that? 7 million difference. But I just want to take you through how tight these states were in 20. Sometimes we forget. In Nevada, if you can see it, we're looking at a 2% difference in what? About a 30,000 vote difference in Nevada. 30,000 out of what? Almost 1.4 million. Arizona, we're talking, 11,000 votes, 10,000 votes out of 3.2 million. I mean, can you 1,672 versus 1,661? It's 11 million, even less. 10 and a half. 10. I'm serious. 10 and a half thousand votes. 10,500 vote difference on a 3.2, 3.3 million votes. Wow. 3.2, 3.3. Unbelievable. We won't even look at Colorado. We'll look at Wisconsin because, again, a 20,000 vote difference. 20,000 vote difference. And what was it? 3.2 million people voted. 23,000. It's not even a town. Michigan. This was a little bit of a bigger spread this time. Remember, Michigan won by about 2.5. Well, yeah, about 3 points, almost 3 points. It was a difference of, what's that, about 150,000 to be rough. 150,000 and 4 million. What's that? Jesus, close to 5.5 million votes. We came down to 150,000. Pennsylvania was a difference of, what do we have? Another 7 million people basically voted. It's rough. 7 million people voted. We had a difference of 459 and 378. I mean, what's that? 70,000, something like that. So tight. North Carolina was tight. I mean, we had 4, 5, close to 5.5 million voting there. And it's going to be under 100,000 votes. It's going to be 70,000 votes difference. Georgia, again, another 5 million and a difference of, what's that? 12,000 or less? 11,500. I mean, this is what we're talking about. I just wanted to run that by just to remind you, because it seems like 2020 was a blowout, and it was a blowout electorate vote. It was a blowout. But when we looked at the popular vote of each one, that is incredible. So we're talking 20,000, 30,000 points. So the little bit of sway, right? 10,000 people go this way. 10,000 people go that way, and it shifts. It minuses 1. Don't forget, 10,000 people. When we look at the difference of 10,000 or 20,000, all you need to move is 10,001, and it shifts the other way. It's not, you don't need 20,000 people. All you need is that little bit of shift. Remember, you take out 1,000 off of one, you gain 1,000 on the other, right? So it shifts quickly the other way. So that's how small we're talking on the voting side. Tomorrow, we'll touch upon a little bit more of the absentee voting. I know we discussed it yesterday. I think things are saying somewhat. The Dems have a slight lead in North Carolina. Some of the states are not showing Republicans and Democrats. The Dems are still showing a large number in Pennsylvania, doing well in Pennsylvania. The Republicans continue to do well in Arizona. I'm sorry, in Nevada, and in Arizona. So we'll touch upon that. We'll dig deeper on the absentee as this starts to build a little higher. And remember, on the absentee stuff, just because the Democrats are not doing as well with mail-ins or in-person voting, doesn't mean they can't show up to vote on the day of. So the day of is going to be higher for the Democrats, and that's what this panic is all about. The Democrats are going to be higher the day of, and the Republicans are going to be less the day of because they're voting now. So this percentage that we're used to seeing of this 65% we talked about versus 35% of early voting is Dem is now going to be, let's say it's 55-45 Dems. Well, what happens the day of? Now you're not going to have that big boom. But what it does for both campaigns is very, very simple. And for the Republicans, maybe more important. Think about it. You have a whole staff back in the offices trying to figure out who has voted and making calls day of. Did you get out to vote today? Did you vote today? Did you vote today? Did you vote today? And meanwhile, for the Democrats, they knew, hey, all these people voted already. We'll make up numbers. 50% of our voting rolls voted already. Guys, let's concentrate on this 50% of phone calls. The Republicans have a very small number out, right? Let's whatever it is, 10% of the full voting capacity of Republicans voted early are chasing 90%. Now they're going to know a lot more and targeted. So it's going to be a much more targeted a chance for both of them, especially Republicans. Can the Republicans get out to vote knowing that information ahead of time and chasing those people to get out to vote as the days get closer? Oh, we got 4 days to go. Let's attack the phones. Let's attack the people who have not voted. Now they know, instead of chasing everybody randomly. It's going to be an interesting advantage for the Republicans, even though the early voting comes out, less people are voting the day of. That helps the Democrats, but it may help the Republicans with the ground game. But they're not that great with the ground game. So, guys, let's go over real quick. National lead, Harris by 0.6. 0.6 on Real Clear this is. Tomorrow we'll go through all the others to see if everybody's balancing, and everybody is pretty much balanced. But Real Clear has Harris up by 0.6 nationally. Pennsylvania, Trump up by 0.8. North Carolina, Trump 0.4. Georgia, Trump 2.5. Arizona, Trump 1.8. Wisconsin, Trump basically even 0.1. That can go either way. Michigan, Trump 0.6. Nevada, Trump 0.9. How many zeros? 0.8, 0.4, 0.1, 0.6, 0.9. I mean, it's a tie ball game. It's a tie ball game. Who is going to get the momentum at the last second? So we'll watch that Cruz Senate race. We will watch if Harris has stopped Trump's momentum, the roll he's been on for weeks. The stories that will now be coming out, hardcore stories will be coming out from the news organizations. And we'll see if the momentum has stopped. But we do have a shift going on with some of those polls, especially the Quinnipiac in Michigan and Wisconsin. Good news for Harris today. And I'll be back with you tomorrow. We're updated. We'll dig into some of the absentee votes tomorrow. We'll get a bunch of polls. All right. We'll see you soon. Everybody, be good. I love you. Thanks again for watching. Hit the thumbs up, and I'll chat with you tomorrow. See you guys.